conference and registration account, with the exception of taking registration out of that for the 3 commissioners, and that the balance would go into our travel account line item. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
And then, is there any further discussion on it? If not, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And so voted.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
With the price of gas having come down and not have had risen that much since last year, what has changed? Obviously, if you ate up that much money in travel, something's changed.
Well, when Representative Albee was here, he just lives up the road,
Right.
where Representative Kenny lives in Wakefield. That's an additional money. Plus, we were short last year.
They'd under budgeted last year.
We do attend, maybe we shouldn't, we do attend a lot of the subcommittees when they meet on a budget, not only yours with the jail, but with the sheriff, with the county attorneys. Those add up.
But are there more than those? I commend you for coming to the meeting. I'm not complaining. It's just, it seems to me that if we've gone over 2 years in a row, perhaps we should have budgeted more this year.
Yeah, that's true.
And that it would appear that unless somebody's doing a lot more traveling, it should be about the same, over the same amount as last year.
Well, we had new commissioner added last year. Yes, Damon?
No, Asha was opposed to this, and and you put it off. Now she's not.
No, I didn't put it
here
off.
anymore.
I said that we'd bring it up again.
Okay.
I'd bring it up even if she was here today.
Okay.
I
mean, she wouldn't obviously carry a vote, but it's just. Are you expecting her to come back and say, "Hey, wait a minute, I didn't have my." She didn't get the vote, because I know she's very opposed to it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm wondering what her reaction.
Well, if I was opposed to something back a while ago, and it went through 2-1. So, anybody else got any questions? Yeah.
You're able to put in for mileage reimbursement every time you come to the complex.
That's
or
right.
Or you go to a meeting somewhere,
Right.
like the Association of Counties, that sort of
Yes.
thing.
Right.
Could I ask how, one way, how many miles away do you live from the complex?
Mine is 52 round trip.
Mine is 60 round trip.
Just a curiosity. I know
And-
Eden and Albany are far.
And we get invitations to go to a lot of meetings, but if it doesn't pertain to county business, we don't go.
And often, the
Okay.
meetings that I go to, for example, when I go to, as the county representative to the New Hampshire, to UNH extension meetings, happens to be in Conway. I don't put in for something like that. I don't put in for something that's within my radius.
How much is registration per commissioner?
175?
I think it's 175.
And you have to pay that even though you're hosting it.
What's that?
You have to pay that even though Carroll County's hosting it.
There are some of us staff people that do not have to pay it.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're checking to see if commissioners that are hosting it have to pay it. I think everybody else pays. It's new to me that some of us staff that might be working at the registration table don't have to pay a registration fee, but it's reasonable because they can't participate in any programs. So, anyway, we have anything else to bring up this morning? Anybody else in public comments have anything to say? Or did you say it all as we went through it?
Well, before you arrived, a question came up regarding the next delegation meeting and having representative of DHHS here. I believe Mr. Babson was going to bring that up now, or?
Yeah. Oh, that was my note to you. Whether or not you had spoken with Betsy Patton regarding having...
No, I have not spoken to Betsy Patton, but I can do that. I thought you meant having somebody from
Yeah.
Department of,
Yeah.
Well, that was my request.
Yes.
Have
Your re-
people talk to Betsy and
Yeah.
have her ask somebody from
Oh,
Health and
okay.
Human Services come in here and explain the situation so that people sitting here don't think we're making it up.
okay, we'll do that. I'm sorry, I didn't do that.
Is Tom going to be coming up for a non-public so we can maybe talk about the pumpkins a little bit beforehand?
Okay. I know he's been peeking in the window, and I didn't see his name on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah, he's scheduled here. Well, he
Okay,
was scheduled
I
here
got a different
about,
schedule.
15, 20 minutes ago, but yes.
Okay.
If I could.
Ed, you getting him? Are you, okay, thank you.
If I could, just one more quick question. I was wondering if if there is a capital improvement plan for the county, like a master plan, or if there's ever been one, or if there's ever been a committee to put one together, like the 5-year, 10-year, because you were talking about some things with Will.
Yeah.
About 5 years from now,
Yep,
what do you see
yep.
in that? Just made me think of, most towns are required to have those.
Yeah.
And they have one. And I was wondering if the county had ever explored doing that. So you can look out farther than the next budget cycle or the 2-year state.
Yeah.
If you're home.
Only on like the jail and the farm. I don't know of anybody else that's ever done that. It's done at budget time as to whether the delegation approves the funding to do that. As far as capital improvements,
That's my guess.
we've done the sewage treatment plant, we've done the water, we've done the jail, now we've done the nursing home. Unless some emergency comes up somewhere, I don't see any capital improvements other than, a plow truck, that kind of a thing. And normally it's requested when they budget for it, and then it's up to the delegation. So we can put everything together. These are the things we need, and the delegation may approve it, and may not approve it.
Do you think it would be helpful to have something like that, like a
Well, I
committee,
think-
that does the research and pulls
Yeah.
in all of the departments and creates a plan, so you,
Mhm.
when the delegation is sitting at budget, say,
Yeah.
well, if you don't approve this level of it, then we're going to be behind in our plan, and kind of
Yeah,
for
yeah.
planning
That's a good
purposes,
point.
it
Yeah,
might help.
okay. County Attorney, you wanted to come in and talk with us about some particular item, or not?
Items, yes.
In non-public or public?
Non-public.
Non-public. One question in public, and that is, the farm has sold some pumpkins to
They sold last year.
sold some pumpkins to a market, and it was less than $200, never got paid for it. And Will, the farm manager, spoke about it this morning, saying he didn't get paid for it. So the question is coming up from our newspaper friend as to why we don't divulge the name of that market. Is that something we can do, or we shouldn't do, or it was in public session when he brought it up? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Well, I guess it would determine what the county's going to do about that. If it's regarding litigation or the name of the individual, then it could be non-public.
It was in public, and it was last year, and Will made several phone calls to try to collect that money, and he had to go out of state to do that, and he just finally gave up on it. It was taking too much of his time, and therefore dropped it. But he did mention it this morning that it was something less than $200 for the sale of pumpkins. And
On the other hand, since it was less than $200, that would be a small claim. Is there a
limitation?
time limitation here? Have we exceeded the time limitation if this was all from last year?
You'd have 3 years to pursue it.
Okay.
3 years?
3 years.
Cost involved in pursuing that?
$50.
$50 to put in a,
That's the last time I
think
put
they
in a
just
small
raised the
claims.
cost of the
Oh, really?
small claims, but wouldn't be significant. But
It would be
as
if it's
far
only a
as
couple of
disclosing the
$100.
name of the business,
Yep.
if we supposedly sold it to a business, I don't see it the name of that. If it was in the course of the normal commerce of the county, I don't see as that would be confidential.
okay, go ahead.
Unless there's been something else said that I don't know or
Yeah.
wasn't here.
Go ahead.
But Tom, the only reason I think we ought to disclose who stiffed us.
Okay.
And not bother with small claims, because you're not gonna get back. But I think bad publicity is the best medicine here. But I would make sure before I did it that they hadn't notified us that 50% of the pumpkins were rotten, or that our delivery was 3 weeks late and they couldn't sell after Halloween. But if that's not the case, if we have not heard anything from them, I see no problem at all at disclosing who stiffed us.
Yeah, and I would just recommend that the reasoning or the facts, because I guess that those are critical to the issue of the non-public issues and the reputation of this business. So it's kind of apples and oranges. So the name is one matter, but then what context you're going to further discuss this, and then in relation to the name.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what raises the concern. And I think Dave's right that the issue is that we said we sold this in a public session as it relates to that, but then as far as further discussions or continuing this discussion in public for a certain event, I don't believe that would be proper, because the commission would be then determining whether or not they want to pursue this in a litigation thing, which would then be a non-public issue.
All right, okay, yes.
Just to see if I could simplify a little bit. So Tom, what you're saying is, we could say that the county is owed X dollars from X company for X pumpkins, but you couldn't really editorialize about.
Well, not be facilitated by the board.
In a budgetary, there's a budgetary hole that you could describe by saying X company owes X amount for X pumpkins. Is
right.
that?
Yeah, and that's open government.
Okay.
And that's what I think everyone was getting at a few weeks ago.
Okay.
That is absolutely a thing that should be told to the public, who it is if this is the case.
Okay.
Where's
Well,
Willie? Get him back here.
Let's find out more information about maybe why they wouldn't pay, if he can find that out. I mean, he's made phone calls to try to get payment with no recourse. They never returned his calls or couldn't talk to anybody. So maybe we can find out the condition of the pumpkins when they are delivered and then go from there. And if they didn't pay their bill, then I guess we can bring it out in public. Okay. Anybody else got any public input? Yeah.
Well, just one last point. You can be assured that if you went into that store and walked out with one of their pumpkins and didn't pay for it, they'd take some action.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait a minute, before we close up,
Go ahead.
I'd just like to make this official. So the question came up earlier before you came in regarding the time that we have our meetings now. Let's make it official right here and now, so everybody knows our meetings start at 8:30.
For public input, 8:30 to 8:45. Okay. I'm sorry, I had a conflict. My kids took a plane last night to Switzerland, where they have a permanent job, and they had so much luggage that they used my truck to go down to catch the bus at Pease, and so I had to go down and get my truck this morning. And I got up late. Fortunately, they called and said they arrived in Switzerland okay, and everything's fine, with the exception that if anybody knows how to get yellow paint off the inside of my fenders or outside, because my son-in-law went across the yellow line. It was just painted. I told him when he left.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir?
I had a brand new truck with my horse trailer and went to the Deerfield Fair about 10 years ago. Opening day of the fair at 9 o'clock, they've paved the road into the fairground in the state.